everybody. Australia, the Australia yogi, Tanzania,
as you know, Shadow also now is visiting Australia from November 4th, 6th, November 6th. Yes, November 6th, and he has already held a retreat here. So that is what his missionary work is running on. He has served Venerable Mahasi Sayadaw so many years, acting as his assistant meditation teacher when the Venerable Mahasi Sayadaw has already passed away. So the responsibility to look after the center was fall upon Sayadaw. Since then he is acting as a first Owadacharya Sayadaw in that Mahasi Sasana meditation center. Sayadaw has somehow plenty of satisfaction in himself during the period when he was acting as a teacher in the study circle. So he served so many young monks to teach them the actual study of the Buddha's teaching, and later also when he went to the actual practice, at that time also he has served plenty of people to guiding them as a assistant meditation teacher, now as the head teacher of the meditation. So he felt he has actually got abundant good results from that service, so he has quite satisfied with his work.
Is that his greatest satisfaction? Is that his greatest satisfaction?
Sarabhaya ara chenam hoga toroko kammin min be chenamu shi padala de mama thaitan tama Sayadaw says that as far as the satisfaction is there,
and Priya Pisari, Soyama, Priya Shiga came out the Shadavagano, Shimpinya Titi, Shibio. Now, Tetaza Priya the Jajito, Tina, we eat Yashi, Pinyabi, Siagaro, Shindan on that one.
Pinyaima. Now, while he was in search of actual study of scriptures, he was influenced by, especially by two teachers. One of the teacher was Venerable Upanya Siri, and another was Venerable Sayadaw Ujjanaka Bhivangsa. And Venerable Sayadaw Ujjanaka Bhivangsa was actually very, very well-known Sayadaw in the circle of the scriptural study. And in the practical study, Venerable Mahasi Sayadaw was influenced him very greatly. And according to the disciplinary aspect, Sayadaw has great satisfaction with his first teacher when he was novice, and later the teacher where he took the high ordination, and that Mahabodhi Sayadaw Ukelasa, was in his mind as a great honorable Sayadaw.
Good. I just want to ask a question. Is it possible for Sayadaw to mention the relationship between, how important the relationship between his scriptural education and his practice, and how one influences the other, or the other influences? Is it just briefly?
Sayadaw the Taya Athamu Tapaka, Padipati Tapaka Shire, Pariyati Tapaka Shire, the Pariyati ne Padipati Balu Sada Mushi the Le, Takune Taku Balu Lobira, Achopuni the Le, Payaga Popira, Ayiji de Lusara, Tema the level, yeah? Takune Taku Balu Sada Mushi the Le, to Api. Sayadaw has the view that both sides are very important. Sayadaw says that the study of scripture is like awakening to the sleeping person, awakening the fate of a sleeping person. So that means Pariyati awakens from sleeping, and so one can get the confidence as an awakening person, and that awakening confidence is strengthened by the actual practice. So actually both are very important. When the confidence awakens, at that time it is necessary to strengthen it. So this strengthening work is done by the practice. So therefore both sides are very important. Suppose if somebody wants to make a tank, so there necessary the tank border, otherwise the water couldn't stay on the tank, in the tank. And if the border is there but no water in the tank, that is also useless. So there should be the border to hold the water in the tank, and there should be water in the tank.
ဒီလိုညို့မဖတ်ဖဲနဲ့တော့ဒီကောက်တော့ဖြစ်ပါဘူးမရှိဘူးဆိုတာဒီလိုဆက်ကြနေတော့ဖတ်ရခိုင်းဘယ်တော့ဒိုင်တာနဲ့စားရတယ်ချင်းစားရတယ်ဆိုတော့ကြားနာဖတ်ပြီးတော့ဆက်ပြီးရှင်းစားရပါတယ်
and another example Sayadaw has given is it is as the bottle of medicine. So you got the bottle of medicine, and if you don't try to study the direction how to use the medicine, that is also not useful. So you have to study the direction how to use the medicine, how many times you have to take the medicine, and later that when you take the medicine according to the direction, and you will get cure your diseases in the same way. So first it is necessary to study the direction, and you need to use it. And the studying the direction in the medicine bottle is like the studying scriptures, and using the medicine according to the direction is like the practice. So that is what Sayadaw's actual life story. Though there are other things also, but in brief, I think it is quite enough for you.
Is it now possible to talk briefly about the
practice? Kusara Pia Hoa Atamuna Padabira Nene Amishine Madala
Atubuano the Bulunga Lila. The Bulunga Lila Yaholo. The Kuku Yanila Yato.
Actually, whole our body is the study place to investigate. So if you try to search for whole and body and mental processes, actually the brief instruction for practice is that.
The Lila Nila Lila Gola Tito Nila Lila ni Material Jana Lila Suni Lila Tito Matiku Pesha
and when one wants to get involved into the actual practice, so therefore they should try to study the true technique of practice, as you have to read the direction in the medicine bottle and that could be done either hearing or trying to discuss with the competent teachers and try to understand the technique first. And when we are practicing, actually at that time, as the Buddha expressed that Buddham Buddhato Passati, what is there you have to see as it is. So in the same way, whatever object arises, you have to direct your mind and should have precise aiming in it and try to observe each and every object in your physical and mental processes with diligent effort. Then it is actually practicing. And there are momentary occurrences of each and every object. So while seeing is there, we have to try to know and notice it as seeing. When hearing is there as hearing. So in the same way, whatever object is there at the present moment if you try to observe and try to see and look carefully at it, and that is the way of practice.
ဒီကနေတဲ့အခါမှာလောလောဆယ်ဖြစ်နေတော့ပစ္စည်းကြီးတာဖြစ်နေရှိနေတယ်။မြင်ရတဲ့အခြင်းတွေဖြစ်နေရှိနေတယ်။မြင်တွေ့တာမြင်လာတဲ့တိုင်းတွေဖြစ်နေရှိနေတယ်။အဲ့ဒါလေးတကယ်ကြီးအောင်ရှိနေပါတယ်။အဲ့ဒါလေးသူဖြစ်ဆက်ပါဒီစုပ်ပိုင်းတဲ့သူတွေတရားစတင်လာတဲ့ဆွဆွနေရှိတယ်။
When we are talking about seeing at the time, so there is sensitive physical eyes as well as the object to observe, and there is mind to note it and to know it. So when at the present moment all these mental and physical processes are there, then we have to observe it as it is. In the same way, when hearing is there, listen and smelling and so on is there, you have to observe in the same way as Sayadaw has already described how to observe the seeing. So if we try to observe each and every object constantly with proper aim and proper direction of mind, and trying to have various mental factors to strengthen the mental process, if we could do in that way, and then that will give a lot of understanding through our practice. Although we have to observe each and every object, whatever arises in our physical process as well as mental process, but in the beginning the beginner couldn't observe all those things, so therefore he has to choose a very simple thing to observe according to the guidance of Sayadaw. So first of all, as the primary object, you have to choose the rising and falling movement of the abdomen to focus your mind on it. And the rising and falling is actually the primary object or a basic object. If you haven't got any other object to observe, so you have to dwell with that primary object all the time. If there arises another secondary objects while during your noticing period, if the secondary object becomes prominent to you, so at that time you have to observe that secondary object in the same process which Sayadaw has already explained, and later on when the secondary object disappears itself, and go back to the primary object.
Now the night of
in that way, during the sitting period of about 1 hour, the yogi has to note in that way, and after that, when the yogi gets up from his sitting, so while he is doing walking meditation, at that time he has to observe the movement of leg. And during that period, many things could be observed. So whatever one yogi does and acts, each and every object should be noted. Not only the movement of foot.
ကျေဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တော့တော့ချက်ပေါ်ဖြစ်တဲ့ယုံနာလေးသူဖြစ်စေလိုက်ပြီးတော့ရှိရတာပါ
And if it could be said in wide term, then whatever arises through the six sense doors, all those things should be observed.
လေလာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တော့ထိုင်နေတဲ့ခါမှပဲသိကြပြီးတော့ပုံရလေးပါညှက်ချောင်းတွေကချက်သိကြပြီးတော့ပါရနေချတယ်မှာပြီးတော့အခြားအထွေလေးမူရာတွေဘယ်လိုတောက်မှာ
And if again we have to try to express it in the little bit narrow way, then while you are sitting and at time try to observe making the rising and falling, its basic object or main object, and try to note all other objects whatever arises.
တို့ကျိုးလိုက်လို့ရှိရင်တော့တမျိုးပါပဲကိုယ်ရဲ့စိတ်ထားပြီးတော့ထင်ရှားဆုံးလည်းဒီပေါ်လေးကမှတ်တာပါ
And again, if we try to say in very brief way, and then the Sayadaw says that just try to observe the object rising and falling.
သူတို့လည်းပေါ်လေးရမှမှတ်လို့ရှိရင်မသိရင်တတိတွေမဲ့ပြီးတော့စိတ်ဆူဆီးတွေဖြစ်ပြီးတော့လောဘဒေါသအစရှိတဲ့ကိစ္စတွေဖြစ်နေ
And rising and falling means, Sayadaw says that when the momentary the object is there, that means not only to observe the rising and falling, whatever arises at the moment, try to note that one. So in brief.
လည်းပေါ်တဲ့အားလေးပေါ်တဲ့မှာဆရာတော်ရှင်လာကြပြီးတော့ဆွေးနွေးတော့ရှိနေရှိအောင်မှစိတ်ကလေးဆူဆီးနေပြီးတော့အခြေခံရင်းနဲ့တိုက်ချမှုကအစားအကုန်လုံးရှောက်ပြီးနေလို့ရှိရင်မသိတာမရှိတော့မသိလို့တွေ့တာလည်းမရှိတော့မသိလို့ပယ်တာလည်းမရှိတော့ဇာကဒေါသတွေခင်းတဲ့သတ်ရှင်းနေတာ
And while you are noticing in that way and at the same moment with precise noting, then when your mind falls momentarily to the object, at that time there couldn't arise anything which you cannot understand. So when the understanding is there, at that time you may not have any kind of defiling factors such as greed, hatred, and so on. Observing in that way, then it will become clear that this is the physicality and this is the mentality, and the whole process of physical and mental becomes clear to you. And when gradually you develop it, your mind becomes more and more pure. And when actual mental purity will there, so there could be the ending of unsatisfactoriness or suffering. When you will reach such an understanding stage, then actually the stage is the stage in which you will get proper insurance of your life. And that is the brief way of practice.
Can I just ask one question? Earlier you said there's the object, noting the object, and knowing that you've noted the object. Is that what you said? There's the object,
yes,
in seeing. There's the noting of that object, you're seeing the object, and there's knowing.
And knowing is when you see clearly the object, so knowing follows together. And you know that.
Noting and knowing. Both, two things. You note the object.
Yeah. When you precisely note the object, so the experience comes, what kind of object you are noting. So knowing also follows together with the precise noting. And actually noting means here the right effort, right concentration, right mindfulness.
And knowing is
panya. That is the wisdom or understanding. So quality is different.
Yeah.
But the knowing comes through that noting.
Noting is the
Function. And the knowing is the result.
So that စာကြည့်ပါလို့ကြည့်လိုက်တာဒါ
သိပါတယ်